Hey everybody, how y'all doing today? Welcome back to my channel, CIY Reviews. Today's gonna be a little different, y'all. I'm gonna give a testimony. It happened a few weeks ago, and I usually don't share my testimonies here. However, I felt led by God. Also know that this is a food channel, so what better way to present some food to y'all? Well, it ain't a food, it's a drink. Well, it was food that was crushed up. Just a little smoothie, y'all. Y'all see it went down? I'm gonna get a brain freeze. I gotta use my brains. You need some cover? Cause you're shivering. Not me, my brains. Brain freeze. I had just dropped my kids off. It was like nighttime, but it wasn't like extremely like late, but it was like between 8 and 9 p.m. And I was headed back to where I was staying at. It was me and then, my driver. Person really don't know this about me. I don't like heights at all. Whether it's like going on one, whether it's rides, whether it's driving. I just don't like heights. It's a lot of stories I can, but I'll probably say that for, if not another time, probably no time at all. You ain't gotta know all that about my life. I don't drive now. Like ever since I became disabled, I have not drove. But before then, I was driving. So whenever I went on the I, if you don't know what the I is, it's the interstate. Whenever I used to go on the interstate, it was not really far, and it was just certain parts of the interstate. Cause like the south side of the interstate that thing was so confusing and high. Leave me out of. And I did go in there a few times, but like I said, it wasn't really far at all. Now the north part of the interstate, I went on a few times, but that was also very limited, but it wasn't as tricky as the south part. But like I said, I don't drive much, so hey. Now if somebody else is driving on like the I or like a high part, I don't too much mind as long as they drive safely. Now if it's nighttime, I'm kind of like skeptical because if it's raining, if it's dark, because all of that plays a factor, and I ain't telling you put your life in jeopardy, but don't put mine in there either. You feel me? Okay, that part of I where I was at, so many roads and so many heights and layers. Usually like when I've been on the low part of the I, now like look, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can just imagine the cars up there, and I'm like, it wasn't like the exit I was supposed to get off. It wasn't supposed to take that long for where I dropped my kids off at. I was looking down at my phone, but I just knew, I'm like, okay, why are we still driving? We're supposed to have been to my exit by now. So then I looked up and I was like, looked at the exit, I'm like, we passed my exit. So then the driver stopped on like the side of the highway. Well, like in the middle of it, like in the middle you got like that part you can stop and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay. So I didn't have too much mind right there. So they was like looking and everything like that, for real. And so then they realized, we have another person to pick up. And I was like, okay, but why would you have to go past my exit just to pick them up? They don't make sense. You should have just dropped me off first. But it was like, I know they don't make no sense, but that's how the people, dispatchers, they do. And I'm like, they would do some silly stuff. So they was like proceeded to get off the the side of the thing and started to drive. So like as they kept like driving stuff, a little part of me was like feeling like relieved, because I'm like, okay, I know that they're gonna pick somebody else up, so that's the reason why they're passing the stop. But another part of me was like feeling like not really antsy, but just feeling like, because I don't deal with anxiety, I never did. Okay, probably one time I did, because like I told you, I don't do heights, and I can explain that scenario, but it was dealing with me a long time ago when I was driving and I was in the height, and however, I know God says in his word, be anxious for nothing, meaning don't live your life being worried. If you feel a certain way, then pray to God about it. It's not saying that once you pray, it's automatically going to go away ASAP. It just means keep praying and be bold. But however, around that time, I wasn't living for God. Of course, I always knew God. I grew up in church. I grew up with God all the time, but I was not serving God then. So I wasn't thinking about not being anxious, not being worried, because the sister was worried. The sister was panicking. Panic, is it a panic attack or anxiety attack? Maybe it was a panic attack. Back to this story. So a part of me was like feeling like a little, I didn't really feel like good inside. And I was like, well, I'm feeling like this a little bit. I just had like the mindset like, cause on the eye, the high part of the eye, and I'm like, I don't know if it was that moment, but, or if it's all the times where I'm in the eye and I'm like, okay, what if like a car or vehicle that somebody's in like will break down, and that would be so horrible to break down on the eye. Or like how some parts of the highway only have like one lane, and it's like, what if the car in front of you break down, the other cars are pretty much at a bad situation because you can't go. So yeah, so all that be playing in my mind. So I don't try to think negative, because God don't want us to think negative. So I think so He is. However, I do have to tell God to like cover me and help me to not think that way. It was the high part of the eye, of the eye. So we had like just went down, but we were still on the highway, but we had went down. We was on the high part. So I'm like, okay, thank you, Jesus. So a few seconds after we got off the high part of the eye, I heard the driver say, "Oh Lord, oh my goodness," something like that. And I'm like, well, wait. I'm like feeling like, okay, what happened? Because I'm thinking like up ahead, they probably see like the road, like I don't know, like not chopped off, closed off, like you know what I mean, like not really closed off, but closed off to the point where the other part is like no road at all. So I'm like, wait, what's going on here? So I was like, the vehicle is shutting off. The vehicle was shutting off. So I'm like, what? So all of a sudden they like pulled, instead of pulling over to like the far, cause like we was like close to the lanes on the right side, on the lane on the right side. So I thought they was like moved closer to the right, or maybe there wasn't no part to move to the right, or maybe we'll be. I don't really remember, but I just know that they moved the vehicle to the middle part on the left. So it's like we was in between now of both cars on this side, on the left side going by us, and then cars on the right side going by us. When I tell you I was so scared, I was like, Lord, please, I know, Lord, you did not allow for us to break down. And now I'm thinking like, Lord, what if we would have broke down up there? But another mindset of me was thinking like, thank you so much, Jesus, for not allowing us to break down while we was on the heights, because like I told you, I don't like heights at all. It's given, baby, because I would have been crying and essing on myself. I'm laughing now, but I'm gonna laugh at them. Okay, then the driver was like, they got up and they were looking for something, but my mom was like, okay, did they try to purposely break down or purposely try to like, I don't know how this woman, so I don't know. I just know my mind just went to another dimension that wasn't of God, and I'm like, yeah, I was not thinking about being calm and at that moment, and ministering to the person, the driver, about God. I was just thinking like, how are we in this position, and did this person try to do this? Because they don't seem like they're really in a hurry to try to get out of the situation. Cause at first, I think the person was saying like they gotta get a sign. Maybe the sign was to tell them like they broke down and like be cautious, or I don't know. But I was thinking like, okay, instead of them getting a sign, you need to call for backup. Get me up out of this dilemma. I don't want to be stuck on the middle of the highway. Now, thank God that it wasn't daytime, because I'd be extremely busy. I definitely would have been scared. Now, due to the fact that it was later, it still was busy though. And then by being nighttime, I'm thinking like, how some drivers can't really see good. Well, maybe that was like mainly me too, because when I was just driving and I can't really see far. A lot of times I didn't wear my glasses, and like trying to look and like, yeah, so I'm thinking like, okay, it's nighttime, so I'm praying that they see us broken down and they know to maneuver and move around and don't hit, the vehicle or anything like that. But like I said, I was so scared on that road like that. Trying to look for the driver said they were trying to look for the sign. Like I said, I was like, okay, well, where's the pep in the step? Where's the urgency to call these people and let them know that we need backup? All I know, lo and behold, the driver got the car and it was like start walking like a little bit behind. So I didn't know what they was doing. You know, that they came back, but then when they came back, instead of them coming like directly to the vehicle and like letting me know exactly what was going on, they went and stood like on the left side of the aisle, like away from the cars. You feel me? Out the way. And I'm like thinking like, okay, why not communicate with the client to let me know like what's going on? So I'm not gonna lie, that was like the second thing against it at that time. First, I don't see no urgency. What's going on? What's happening? And then said you were like communicating automatically with me. You're going way over. I didn't like that at all. So I'm like thinking to myself like, help me, Lord. It's not even to a point of like help that person too, but just help me, because do you really care what's going on? I'm like, less than 5 minutes later, they did come to the vehicle, and that's when they started giving the yap. They told me that the person that came, I'm thinking the person that came like was also the person like backup, because they was first telling me that they couldn't get in touch with someone, and then when they finally did, they were saying like, by being kind of late, there was nobody else on the road. And come on now, not to mention, I just literally saw a vehicle like ours, because there's multiple that passed by us not too long before. The person told me like the person that stopped was